Good evening and welcome to The Real Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS.
So like two teams with that movie, it seems like either people love it or they hate it. Okay, I do too. I do too.
Yeah. BlackGirlMarvel.
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tylermakesfilms.
It's meant for us to kind of contemplate. Like, I don't think his response to me is completely appropriate. Like, it makes sense that he would react that way.
Allthemoviethings.
I think the thing why I enjoyed it more too was the fact that we were going to talk about it from this perspective.
The pre-review with Biggie.
The pre-review is where I tell you about upcoming movies coming to movie theaters and beyond.
And me, the Real Study movie voice guy.
I probably would have been in love with this movie as well if I had watched it earlier, like when it came out, or maybe right after.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Silly evenings. Welcome to The Real Study. My name is MrSniDBitS, and to my left, as always, is BlackGirlMarvel. And with us tonight, we've got all the movie things. No Ray, no Tyler, just the three of us tonight, and that's okay because we are longtime reviewers. We know each other well. Tonight, we are going to be doing a theme. I know that Lala doesn't always love the themes, but tonight's theme is Raised in the Wild, whether it be raised by yourself, raised by another, some version of that. So we will be doing Hanna, Leave No Trace, and Where the Crawdads Sing. I know that some people have said they have never seen Tarantino movies. We will be doing a Tarantino day someday in the future before we get to the season 2 break. That said, as always, there is news in the world. Here we go.
Now it's time for the real news.
Twitter, Facebook, especially TikTok, because we want to go live underneath our Real Study banner. So if you can go on the TikTok and follow us at The Real Study, that'd be amazing. And if you can't watch us live, which is a shame because we're hilarious if you look at our faces. But if you cannot listen to us live, you can listen to us while you're in the car, doing laundry, shopping for groceries, whatever it is people do when they're not watching TV or looking at their phones. Join us on Apple, Google, Spotify, all the places that you listen to your favorite podcasts. Hopefully we are one of them. And if you would like to join the Real Study, become a real student, you can join our Discord. All the information is available for you on all of our social media platforms, as well as the one that you're watching and or listening to us on right now. We thank you.
And thank you, BlackGirlMarvel. We always appreciate that. We do have the news, of course. We have, good news in the sense of justice, bad news in the sense of, people's lives being thrown upside down. But Danny Masterson was found guilty of all the charges he was being held to. And thank God for justice, because we need to be holding these people fully accountable. And that's been one of those ones we haven't known, like what was going to happen because of the mistrial last year. And years of allegations. But yeah, I'm not sure if you guys want to say anything on it, but I thought we would mention it. Feel free as always.
Yeah,
I have nothing.
Yeah, I really don't have much. Just other than it's good to see, some accountability happening. Where I was really surprised by the mistrial part, that they had. I was like, oh, is he gonna get away with this kind of thing?
Right.
I didn't really know all the details or follow it too closely, but just little bits here and there.
From what I read, he could spend life in prison. For this. So
that's multiple.
Right.
Yeah, multiple
so
counts.
He would have to be on perfect behavior to get out as an old man, and might as well just let him stay in there. On the movie front, we've got Martin Scorsese making another film. You'd never believe that, that Scorsese would make yet another film. This time,
I bet it's about gangsters.
It's not. It's the other thing that he makes. So he does gangster movies.
Animated gangster superheroes.
No. But this is the there you go. Jesus is the other hat. So this time it's about Jesus. He met with the Pope, and it made him inspired to make a Jesus film. And so he's made multiple other religious-based films before, so it's not new. Hopefully he'll step away from Christian Bale and those sorts playing Egyptians instead of
we'll see.
Maybe he'll actually go with some Middle Easterners. Yeah, exactly. Let's hope.
He's about to be blonde with blue eyes. I already know.
It's Chris Hemsworth.
I already know. Literally.
Chris Hemsworth is Jesus. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Not Jesus. That's hilarious.
Then we've got
an action movie called Resurrection.
Oh, I love it. And on the third day, he took them to hell.
Series. Yeah,
I love it. And then what would he have? Like Lazarus would be his like right hand man, and like they're just doing their thing. How to Train Your Dragon is getting a live action remake, and we're gonna see where that goes.
How to Train Your Dragon is one of my favorite trilogies, like animated trilogies. I don't know how I feel about that.
Let's not go down this.
Right, I don't feel like it needs a live action. The animated one is perfection to my all three of them are perfection.
3 words. Thank you, Disney, because they're the reason this is starting to happen. They pushed it so hard that even though they weren't that great, I've heard good things about Little Mermaid, but that's about the only one I've heard so far.
I mean, I don't know. Haven't they been making live action stuff for quite some time?
No, I know, but I'm saying the remakes that they've been making of their classic animations, they have been doing it for a while, but they're starting to get a kind of a foothold. So other companies are like, oh, let's give this a try.
How dare you?
Let's do that too.
Yeah, no, I'm not excited. We've got Mandy Moore and I'm going to totally butcher his name. I am going to butcher his name. I'm so terrible with names.
I can't wait.
Kamal Nanjiani.
Oh, Kamal Nanjiani.
Nanjiani.
Thank you. Are both going to be starring in a movie together.
Interesting.
Called Thread: An Insidious Tale. So it's a Blumhouse film. So we'll see where that goes. And Mandy Moore, I'm not a huge person when it comes to singers becoming actors. I think that you get like 1 out of 50 that can, pull it off. The rest are because they're already famous. But Mandy Moore is one of those people that I actually think does do a good job as an actress. I actually have enjoyed a lot of her roles.
Personally, growing up with her music, never been a fan of her music. I love her voice. I think her voice is amazing. I think she has hands down one of the best voices of our generation. I don't think people really pay attention to her voice, but her and the bubblegum pop, I wasn't really a fan. So when she became an actor, I was like, oh, here come another one becoming an actor. But then I was like, man. I was okay. I was like, and then This Is Us just showed you actually what she can do. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Because she played little snotty kids in her earlier career.
Well, have you seen Saved?
Yeah.
She played that role to perfection.
Perfection.
She was.
Nobody else could play that for her.
She was exactly that character. Not that Mandy Moore is that character. Have you ever seen Saved, Brian?
No.
Okay, it's
one look at the poster, and I was like, nah.
No,
it's satire though. It's satire on the whole thing, and it's fun. It pokes fun, but also uplifts. Very Kevin Smith in that way.
Oh, nice.
Where it's
I do like her in
poking
Tangled,
fun.
But...
Yeah, she's great in that. You might give Saved a try. It's a dark comedy.
And her singing in Tangled was amazing because her voice is amazing.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm just not here for the give me those up. I'm just not here for that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's completely fair. We've got Terrifier 3 on deck. They've got a bigger budget. Those movies are.
We gotta watch the first 2 Terrifiers.
Well, why don't we wait for 3 to come out and then we'll just do the trilogy. We'll just do the Terrifier trilogy, or something.
That's why you're the host.
There's a short film.
Oh, we can add that.
Initially, that's where the initial introduction of that character comes from. Is a short film.
Which I've seen the short film because it's creepy and weird.
It's not called Terrifier, but
if Bats was watching, she'd say in the
oh yeah.
Yeah, but she's not. I don't think she's watching.
What you call him a chicken?
Hocus Pocus 3 is in development after the pseudo success of Hocus Pocus 2, or at least the nostalgic success. I liked it. I enjoyed 2. But we'll see.
I didn't watch 2.
That's all right.
If you liked 1,
I had just watched 1 a couple of years ago.
Okay, it's for your first time.
Right.
Yeah, for my first time. I didn't grow up on the Halloween Town Hocus Pocus thing.
Me
I
either.
didn't grow up on that. So it took me a while to like watch that, but I love me some Bette Midler. Can't get no better than Bette Midler. I think she's hands down hilarious.
Well,
And
they do
Kathy,
it. They bring the
Jimmy
characters
is hilarious
back
too.
very, very well for 2. Like you
Okay.
feel like
I'm gonna have
it's
to
the
check
same
out too.
characters,
Mhm.
but it is
I have to check
updated.
out
Like
too.
the main protagonists are, Zennials and not Zennials,
Mhm.
Gen Zers, and they're very much doing Gen Z things.
Okay.
But it's good. So if they make a third one, we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Cruel Intentions has set their cast. We'll see where that goes. I'm not sure.
Is that supposed to be like a live action TV show?
It's a TV show that they're doing instead of a movie series this time.
What do you know the platform that it's on?
It's on Prime. So
Really?
yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. We'll see, because Cruel Intentions, the movie, was it was pushing the envelope there.
Right.
And so
It was good for what it was, and then they made sequels. I don't know why they did that.
oh my god,
Yeah.
no. Oh
Yeah.
my
It's kind of like when they
Like
made
straight
Wild
video
Things
sequels.
sequels. They were just like,
Oh
yeah,
oh
look.
my god, yeah. I was
It's
like,
just-
stop the press.
They
Stop
were
the
all
press.
just classic TNA films, the way we used to say them back in the
Yeah.
day.
Right.
That's all they
True.
were. They got rentals, because the dudes would walk by and snag, well, maybe not
Yeah.
just dudes, but primarily, I guess, dudes. Then we got Oppenheimer gets a confirmed R rating. I don't know why it wouldn't get an R rating. It is about blowing people up.
I mean, I kind of don't understand why it does get an R rating, though. I mean, they're not.
If they show
I
anything,
mean, it's not like.
if
I
they
don't think
show,
that's not what it's about, though. I don't think that's what it's
Yeah.
gonna. I don't think.
so you think there might be a lot of cursing in it? Maybe they're cursing at each other.
Probably it's
about
probably just all
the-
language. Like I don't
I feel like
imagine.
it's on language, because what you gonna show us? Are you
not
literally gonna
violent.
show
Yeah,
And they're,
them dropping a bomb and like
at
incinerating people?
most
like,
you
is
might
this
have
Terminator?
some like suspense about people getting fired or like their careers ruined or
right.
something like that.
Yeah.
But if they show
So
the
I don't-
bomb and it's
I
like
don't
in
know.
his mind and he sees people getting killed, that could make it R-rated.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
So that's
It's
because
like
there was
horrific
guilt,
stuff, but-
and we're looking retrospectively at his life. So like, I don't know.
Yeah, and there
And
does seem
Nolan
be
likes
some
to
court
in there.
room drama element to it
I don't know.
too.
I like Nolan enough that I'll give it a shot. There's still the, of course, argument about
Right, I mean,
whether
I don't
it's
care that it's
Oppenheimer
R
or
or not.
Barbie, since they're both the same day. And I would
Yeah,
go
like, I
see
don't-
them a double feature. So
Yeah, like I don't care that it has anything that it's R or not. It's just interesting that
What about
they decided to go R.
Tom Cruise telling them to push back the
Yeah.
the
Oh man, I know.
the
Like
dates for
'cause he'll-
filming Oppenheimer.
yeah, because Mission Impossible will only get like a week worth. Of
sorry, Tom.
IMAX.
That's
I
called the
know.
way the industry works, right? No, that's bull crap. Sorry, Tom. No.
I'm like, sir, this is what Mission Impossible 1,000. Calm down. Like,
What?
you have a franchise, you have a base. People are going to go see your film. Like, it's okay.
Not only that, but we just talked about this again because of my video for the flops came back around, and the idea that people think that Shawshank Redemption wasn't a flop, a financial failure essentially in its initial release is funny, but they don't ever remember what it came up against. So this is kind of weirdly indicative of that.
Right.
Where you're going to have two big releases
Mhm.
that are going to likely compete with each other, but at the same time, they are completely separate audiences. I think myself and maybe I know Brian are definitely going to be like the cross section where we would watch it because of who's making
yeah.
both.
I'll watch both.
But I don't think that we're
Like,
the
I'm excited
norm.
for both.
I think that there are people that are going
Yeah.
to be Barbie, and I think there are people that are Oppenheimer. And asking
Yeah,
the
if you
question
go,
on
like-
TikTok, you don't really get people saying, "Yeah, both." So,
Yeah, if you go from like a general audience perspective, it's gonna be one or the other.
Right.
For people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it's going to be
But-
who's in the group. You walk up. If it's a date, it might be Barbie. If it's not a date,
Right,
it's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be Oppenheimer. You never know.
I just feel like moviegoers, period, will go see everything eventually. But I understand that like that first weekend or is like the money making weekend or whatever. You want to make sure that you get all that money, but it's like you got a deal. I'm sorry, sir, you got a deal.
Yeah, no, Tom, we don't feel for you on this one. Sorry. But keep
That's
doing
like
those
Vin
stunts.
Diesel being like, "Hey guys, this is Fast X. Can you please like just?"
I mean, I'll go see Mission Impossible in IMAX, but I'm probably gonna be there the opening weekend though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So when
For
you go the
sure.
next weekend, you won't have to worry about it. You'll have already seen it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go
Right.
see Oppenheimer in IMAX, and
Yeah.
I heard a rumor that, and this, it's a rumor, but this is news, not rumor, but I'm at least admitting it, that Vin Diesel is a little sour about all the positive feedback that Jason Momoa has been getting about Fast X.
I know.
Like,
Listen, if
but
that's
everything I've heard, it
true,
makes sense. Like it, it fits. I don't know.
if that's true, something's wrong with
He's
him.
an odd duck. Yeah.
Something's wrong with him if that's true.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, have you seen him in interviews? There's
yeah, he's a little off. I saw him
Yeah.
do an interview with Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
It was manic. It was like he was all over the place. He kept standing up and be like, "You want to see? You want to do the thing?" And I was just like, what's happening right now? Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard
But
to
if
watch.
he's mad that an actor that he probably more than likely helped choose to be in this franchise is getting love,
Yeah.
I'm confused on why.
Right.
I know. Like they're talking about your movie. Like why?
Literally.
He plays D&D, but I imagine he's the player that he doesn't get his way, so he like stalls the game or like fights with the DM in some way, or like
he's
just
the
prevent.
character, or he's the what's his name? The guy from Bridgerton. He's that character. Anybody seen Dungeons and Dragons?
I have not seen Bridgerton. No, Dungeons and Dragons. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Bridgerton, but I know
he's
you're
that guy from. But you know what I'm talking about. He's that guy who's just like good at everything. He never gets hurt. Can sidestep anything. You're just like, so you don't get hurt at all. Nothing bad happens to you. Okay. But honestly, I can see that, and then it'll make sense why him and The Rock wasn't really.
Well, they both have
seem
that
like the same person. They have that
something else too.
To them of like I'm the good guy always, and that's interesting.
Well,
or like
it's
I feel
funny.
like Momoa doesn't have that, and that's why like you see that come across in that movie where like he's just having a blast, like. And you're having a blast with him. Where you're just like, oh my god, this dude is amazing. Like,
now I want to see.
Yeah,
it
he was
only
the best part of
him,
the movie.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
He's magnetic in this film. He just magnetic.
Yeah, it's so
everything
good.
he does. I was kind of rooting for him. He's the best.
Yeah, I know.
That's okay.
Damn.
We've had like 10 family movies. We could have a bad guy, win.
Yeah.
I was like, destroy them. I was in the theater, like, break them down. That was so.
I love it. Yeah, I don't know. It's odd to me because they took the trope of like Indiana Jones always had that like luck trope, or even Han, had the luck trope where everything would always kind of win on your side, but not because everything was always perfect, because things were falling apart, and then that moment would happen where you could make it through. While Dom and everybody in his crew, it seems like they roll 20s constantly, no matter what it is, whether it be speech or how they drive in that race or how they dress or what. Like they're always rolling 20s, and it's like that gets so dull. Put your characters in some peril, man. Make them actually show me they might die, and I might care. So anyway.
Well, that's the thing too. Now it's become such a thing. Like even when there is that element of like, oh, are they going to come out of this one? You already
they're going to come out.
You aren't buying it. Yeah,
you're just like, how is it going to happen?
Yeah, like this film was a part 1 of
3.
Yeah, it's either 2 or 3, but
it's 3. They changed it to a trilogy.
It'll be 5 by the time they get to the third one.
Yeah. So some stuff happens in this one where you're just like, no, I don't believe it. Like I already know what's
Did you see that?
My brain.
Not really.
When I go into these movies, because me and Marley will talk about these films, and I will go into these films. He's like, it's stupid, and it's like the way he's talking to me, and I'm like, I just go into the Fast and Furious films just to be entertained. I'm not looking for an Oscar. I'm not even looking for like actual physics to be applied to these films. I'm just there to see
or even incredible performances.
Right.
I'm just trying to see what kind of crazy things are going to happen and how they going to get out of it. That's
how many cars are going to blow up. Who's going to get punched?
Mm-hmm.
How many times are they going to say family?
That's why Momoa was such a great element, because I was like totally expecting him to be like super lame, just checking the boxes kind of bad guy. He's just there because he's Momoa, and man, oh my god, this is. He does some off the wall stuff in this.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it.
I got played in the best way. He be dancing. He be dancing and twirling. It's very like a Joker.
He's so like flamboyant. Yeah, he is kind of like. He's definitely like the antithesis to Dom's character. Like,
yes, he is.
So he's not stoic or broody. He's happy and
not even in the slightest. Nope. To me, this is a great.
He
Just
definitely
how
has
like,
a drive, but
yeah, he definitely. I mean, it's a drive that you can get behind.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, but the way he goes about doing things, you're like,
that's
this dude is nuts, and I'm here for it.
yeah. Even in his like his wardrobe too is like flamboyant, just like man, yeah.
But it's how honestly, it's
not a sleeveless shirt at all. Like no sleeveless shirts.
So he's actually got shirts on. Okay, I got you.
He kind of dresses like Johnny Depp does, you know what I'm saying? Like silks and
it's a lot of flowing, like fabrics and like
you know.
It's great. Color. There's a lot of color into it. Yeah,
He's a really good. It's very much like Batman and Joker.
Help me confirm this. Well, that makes sense. So it feels like this is the Die Hard with a Vengeance of the Fast and the Furious, where like the Jeremy Irons character.
Well,
comes
the thing
back
is, they've already kind of done this plot in the Fast and Furious franchise.
Have they really?
Yeah, with Jason Statham's character.
Oh Lord!
He had a brother that they ended up like messing with, and so Statham comes to avenge his brother, and that's how he gets into the franchise. This is
so it's going to be. Wait, what's this character's name?
Jason Momoa's father. I don't remember his character.
I can't remember.
Yeah. We'll just call it Momoa just for the sake of it, but it's going to be Hobbs and Shaw and Momoa, right? We're going to get
the three of them. Right, yeah.
Yes.
Because I heard
they're doing another
Hobbs.
Back. Yeah. There's another Hobbs spinoff, but it's not a Hobbs and Shaw sequel though.
What?
But it has the Hobbs character.
Have you guys seen the Fast and Furious meme that's out there right now, where it shows the original two cars jumping the tracks, then it shows the car in space, and then it shows the Falcon flying alongside some X-wing.
Yeah.
It's gonna go that way. All right. Well, we have bashed on Fast and Furious enough for this week. It is kind of becoming a weekly thing. Please follow us so we can bash on the Fast and Furious. Easy. But we do watch them and we bash them. So we're one of those middle crowds where we'll still enjoy them, but make fun of them thoroughly. That means we do want to move to the first film of the evening, and that film is going to be Hanna. Which is, of course, a 2011 film about a girl who is raised in the wild, hence the theme for the evening, by her...
And now a series on Prime.
It is, and it's getting into its second season, I believe.
Yeah.
So that is the first film. It, of course, stars... I always forget her name. Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan.
And then Saoirse. Okay, I'll make sure I say that right from now on. And then Kate Blanchett and Eric Bana as the three main persons. Eric Bana plays her father, and
I'm so American. I'm like Bana.
And then Kate Blanchett, of course, plays her would-be aggressor, the person that's going to take her down. Had any of you seen Hanna before this week?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
This was my very first time watching Hanna.
Oh,
so
you go first.
Then I go first, you say. Okay. Let me fix the Hanna poster, because that's going to be more important than anything else. No, I'm kidding, of course. So for me, I had wanted to watch this movie, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I got in my head that Brian Cox was in this movie, but he's not
funny.
at all in this movie. I think that
he is in Long Kiss Goodnight.
He is, but that's not. I know that, and that's not what I was thinking. Like, it's a separate thing. So Saoirse is what you said. That's how you Saoirse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, especially since I know she has a super thick Scottish accent. Like, naturally, she was able to kill that completely for this role, which I thought was great. And they were able to take on she was like a light German accent, because Bana's character, of course, had a much thicker and a very good accent.
And he's Australian,
right? So he did great with his accent.
Yeah, all the accents are all over the place. Because Kate Blanchett is doing like an American Southern
accent. But almost not great, almost bad.
Right? Yeah.
You know,
especially when you first hear it, you're like,
it was giving
right.
What is it? Benjamin Button a little bit.
Yeah.
She was speaking.
I don't know. It felt like her accent changed in the film a little bit as we went on.
I think it did too.
And it was odd. But she's also playing a ton of different parts, so there's kind of
I'm about to say she's an operative, so like I would
that an operative might change it. So
yeah.
Anyway, I was impressed with Saoirse.
Really
I was impressed with the film's cinematography. I thought that the layout of the story was good. The thing that I noticed was I feel like this would have been a better film had it not been with a more art house production studio. Because this is Focus Features, I felt like it was slowly paced and trying to go for the more artsy side, which is fine. And I do like how the beginning and end tie together nicely. But it didn't have the pace I wanted. I wanted a little more, I don't know, just a little faster pace than we got. I felt like we spent a lot of time with her and that family over and over again. And I think that kind of bogged it down in a few parts, but overall, I did enjoy it. I did hate the guys that were coming after her. Like, I wanted, like, as soon as I saw them on screen, I'm like, I want these guys dead. I want these guys completely, I want them totally hurt. And I was just glad to see, you know, her dad, Eric. It's funny, Eric, his name's Eric.
His name's Eric.
It's with a K though.
I know, instead of a C. I know, it changes
so
everything.
So there's a difference. Like,
in where the name came from, sure, as far as northern Germany or southern Germany, I guess, sure. But you know, I don't know. Nothing about it like screamed at me like this is amazing. Just interesting concept. Drug on a little long. That's me. How about you? All the movie things.
No, I love this movie. This is like, yeah, I loved it. Like the first time I saw it, I was really into it. I saw it back when it came out. This is probably the third time I've seen it now, and it's been a while since I've seen it, but I still loved it. Like the music's great. I feel like it's the Chemical Brothers, so if you're into that kind of stuff, like I was like, yeah, I really love the music. Yeah, Saoirse Ronan's like incredible in this. And it's an interesting take on, like, she's like stuck between these two worlds, you know, like she's grown up to be this assassin, you know, so to speak, or at least hold her own as, you know, as this like engineered, you know, super soldier in a way. But then also she's like, she finally gets time to like be a kid with this family. That's why like we see her with this family so much, because those elements she's like getting to experience for the first time some childlike wonder, and she's struggling with that, you know, where it's like, but in the times when she has to like fight, she immediately snaps back into her like training, you know, which is like, it's kind of heartbreaking in a way to like watch her deal with that, you know what I mean? Because like at the container fight, and that friend of hers just like sees a totally different side of her, and immediately, you know, she loses that friend, you know, it's like she can't have that life, you know, so it's just really sad.
I wouldn't want her as a friend. No way. I told you to stay in the van.
Right.
And she promised.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I told you, don't follow me. I know. But
I promise I won't follow you. Hannah.
Yeah, it's great. I really like it. Like I don't feel like any of the pacing or anything was an issue for me in this one, but yeah, that's great.
How about you, La?
Wait a second.
So just from my perspective, while she finishes on her snack, which is all good, we all need to do that when we have to. Atonement, Pride and Prejudice, Darkest Hour are all movies by Joe Wright, and I think that Joe Wright kind of has that longer style. And I'm just not judging it. I'm just saying that that's kind of an approach that he takes as a director, because his projects are very heavy, either in length or in depth, and so
he does like long takes too.
Yeah, he does. It seems
like there's a few oneers in this one.
The one where she's going into the hotel for the first time when she sees light.
That one, the one too, where those guys are following Eric Bana down into that like that area with all the posts and everything.
Even the scene
like
where
one take from when he gets,
even when they're fighting is still part of the one take.
Even when they're fighting is still one take. Yeah.
For me, the one of the longest scenes was when the Moroccan people were singing.
Yeah.
I was like, Lord, this is going on for quite some time. I was like, sir. But as somebody who has already seen this film, I agree with both of y'all, honestly, because there are moments where it's like I remember watching it with like older, like younger eyes, and being like, oh man, this movie is pretty solid. Like Saoirse does a great job, Eric Bana, like everybody does such a great job, and it's like you're immersed and you're in. But like it's 2023 now. My eyes have seen different things, different way these kind of like action films kind of go, and so part of me was like, oh, this could have been sped up a little bit, or even though it's not even a long movie, but I'm just like, some of these scenes could have been cut a little bit, then maybe some other scenes could have been added. Like I wish that she could have been with the family earlier. Like I wish that instead of her having hit, because it was so easy for her to get into the, like all she had to do was talk to the girl. The girl was like, she riding with us, and now she was in the front seat with her mama while everybody else is in the back seat sleep. So like I would have loved to, instead of having her be like instead of having her like watch them and see this, I would have liked if she was like engaged in it as well, even though I know she wouldn't act the same, but to see her smiling amongst them, I think would have been a harder hitting scene than her to be like hid back and watching them. I get why they did it, but just for my own personal, like I would have liked to see this. But I thought this film was good. I will say some of the action is, I don't know, it's something odd about the action, whether it's like sped up a little bit or it's like kind of maneuvered in a way where you can see everything. Like there's not a lot of wide shots in the fighting. All the fighting is very up close, and I kind of like that. But also there was something kind of like, if this was made now, the fighting would have been a little smoother. But maybe that's part
what
of the
I'm alluding
magic.
to. I don't know. That might
But
be
maybe
what I'm
that's part
alluding
of the magic of this, is that it's more raw or something like that. It's less like glamorized, I guess I'll just say, or like it's less like,
well, I think we're used to these like super
sake.
choreographed, like very fluid,
yeah.
like almost dance like moves. You know, I think we're used to like the very stylized choreography of fight scenes that we see.
It might be. I'm like back and forth about it. I enjoyed the fight scenes, like when she was slicing dude up in front of the girl. I was like, that's amazing. Like
I did like when Eric came just to the apartment and it's just blasting through the door and taking dudes out. Like I enjoyed that whole sequence. I don't know. Whenever Bono was on the screen, I don't know. I like him as an actor, so maybe I was enthralled by him.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't enthralled by Kate in this movie, which is weird because I usually am very enthralled by her as an actress. But in this one, I was like, maybe it's because she's an antagonist. Maybe I just wanted her gone.
But
like
also feel like she's an antagonist we didn't really get to see much of. She's in the film, right? To not like, because the way I feel like there's more to her character than what they're giving us. Because like the line of her being like, "Don't walk away from me, young lady," did you want her as a child? Is that the reason why you had this program? Did you want children? Because the lady makes the comment about, if like, have you had any children? And she like gulped and was like, you could tell she was visibly upset that she hadn't had kids. Like it was just, there was something very intriguing about her character that they didn't let us in on. And I was just kind of like, this go around, I was like, well, damn, like, because I think I missed that because I was younger when I watched it. So I was like, why is this upsetting her that she doesn't have kids? Why is this, like, what is in her background that we don't know of? Why did she terminate this program? Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, we don't, like, I'm just like,
they don't go
into it a little bit more. And I felt like because this movie is like short,
but the movie is about Hanna, so maybe we don't.
No. It is about Hanna, but my thing is this: don't put that in there to make her intriguing like that. If you're not going to say, because if it's about Hanna, let it be about Hanna and not about this woman getting visibly upset that she doesn't have children.
I mean, as lame as this kind of is, why couldn't she be the original like mother of all the girls that they had in the program?
I feel like that's a hell of a trope. That's
I know, but at the same time, at least it would have tied up that loose end a little bit.
Probably, but
I'm not saying it's perfect.
Or was the other girl her daughter? You know what I mean? Or like was Joanna her daughter that she didn't know got into the program? That's why she terminated it, and that's why she wants Hanna so bad.
I think they're the same age, like roughly the same age.
Like, who?
Kate Blanchett's character and Joanna are, because Eric Bana would have been the same age. They're all roughly early 30s,
they're all
late 20s, early 30s when the car wreck and the murder goes down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's how I saw it too. They're all basically the same age.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I do feel like I hear you though. It feels like, it almost feels like we should have had No, I don't know. It's one of those movies where yes, you could have had it, but having it might have bogged the movie down. So not having it,
Might have.
I
I
don't know.
totally
I'm with
totally
you.
agree.
I don't know.
I still feel like there could have been a balance that was struck, because like there's like two parts of me. There's like the part of me that watched it originally and like loved it, and then it's the part of me that goes more deeper into films than I did in the past. And now I'm kind of like, even though this is about Hannah, like there could have been, you could still make a film about a person, but still make the other characters intriguing and full of like have arcs and things like that too. So I'm just saying.
This show is great because I end up liking movies more as we discuss them. It's funny. So I don't know if we need to know anything about Marissa because she's really just another deer that we see her.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly like it's bookended with those elements. It opens up with and that line, like, "Oh, I just missed your heart." You know, she says the same thing to her.
Right.
Like that's all she saw this Marissa character as is just.
And we never see any training before that.
But
right?
I mean, that's what she was raised.
See is what she was trained for after that.
Yeah. She was raised to be. She was raised to take her down, and essentially she does. But for me personally, it's like watching like Guardians of the Galaxy and not realizing that Gamora has an issue with Thanos, and then when you see her and Thanos, you're like, why does she have this issue? Like, I don't get it. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just things. It's just things in between.
But we're gonna follow Gamora further.
Like.
If Gamora were being killed at the
like,
end
this
of the movie,
this is one movie.
We don't need more about her in that sense.
I know, but
I'm split both ways on this.
But I'm just saying, for me personally, I like to know. I like to know my antagonist in some way, especially when you show me certain elements. You show me she gets upset about not having kids. You show me like she calls her young lady like she would if she had a child. Like, to me, that makes her character even more intriguing. I would have liked, I don't know, a sentence or something just to give me more on her character, because to me that makes that character intriguing. Even though it's about Hannah, that makes her intriguing to me. I'm like, oh shit, like,
so we need a prequel. It'll be called Marissa, and we're good. I'm kidding, of course.
What Kristen said in the TV show, they do go a little bit deeper into some stuff. So like, I was like, maybe I'll just check out the TV show. Like that's probably where it lies for me. Yeah.
Well, wait, she's supposed to be 16 in this movie?
15.
The synopsis is a 16-year-old girl raised by her father, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
either way, I even thought younger. I thought 12, 13 at the most.
I never got that. I always felt like she was a teenager.
Interesting. That would make sense then with the boys in that whole scene. Right. That would make much more sense. I was like, why are these girls at 12 running off and doing this with these boys?
He's like, she's a child.
This is weird. I don't like this. It still isn't great, but it's better. Because that's what 16-year-olds do.
I mean,
and you can't stop them.
She slammed boy and choked him. I mean, she's good. Like, she's all right.
Yeah.
She's okay.
Yes.
So tell your friends I just wanted a kiss.
This was her big breakthrough role, Saoirse, right?
This was like the first movie I saw with her.
I think this is the one that got Hollywood's attention. I think she was making her rounds, and then this kind of got.
Yeah, even though she did do stuff before this, like I literally saw that Paul Rudd and Michelle Pfeiffer romantic comedy that she's in.
That's
where she's even younger. I was like, whoa, Saoirse Ronan's in this, but she's like way young in that.
Yeah. And then you've got her in Lady Bird. You've got her in Little Women.
Yeah, later on,
The French Dispatch, although she's the small part in that one, it looks like. The Lovely Bones is the other big one, I think, that got.
Lovely Bones is another one.
I think that
one's really great.
That one's heartbreaking, but still a great film, though.
That's one I never saw.
Shout out to Mark Wahlberg for that one.
That's why I never saw it right there. That would make sense.
He's pretty good in it. It's not too bad, but it's really like hinges on her. Too, so it's Guillermo del Toro,
Oh, well, how did I not know that? And Rachel Weisz. All right. Susan Sarandon and Stanley Tucci. Stanley Tucci. Somebody could have just told me that, and I would have been fine. Stanley Tucci's in the movie. I'm gonna watch it. Like, I love that guy.
I was trying to find his name in my head. I couldn't find it. I was like, it's the guy. I know him. I couldn't.
Well, now all he does is he's on TikTok and he cooks, which I love. He just makes Italian food all the time on TikTok. So if you love Italian food, watch Stanley Tucci. Brooklyn's another one I didn't watch. So this is really...
His TikToks are so funny because he there's always this delay in the beginning. Like he has to wait for whoever's recording to tell him, and they keep it in there. They could totally just edit it out. You know what I mean? But they keep it.
It's apparently there's a thing called the millennial pause. I think is the thing where
he's not a millennial.
No, I know, but whoever's running his camera probably is a millennial. So there's that millennial pause where back in the day, this is what I heard. Back in the day, millennials, you guys were used to. Phones, you'd have to push it and you'd have to wait a second and then the recording would start. And that's transformed itself into now where millennials will hit the button and wait and then start by nature, which is really funny. And apparently Gen Zers shake the camera. I don't know. That's just, these are stereotypes.
For me, that's training for...
Yeah, I'm about to say that for me, for an
video,
actor.
because you need that space in the edit. You need what's called angles.
Yeah.
And you need a little bit of space in the beginning so you can trim it. And a little bit of space at the end so you can trim that. So but my point is they totally could just edit that out.
I know, and they don't.
And have them start, right?
But at the same time, it makes it authentic. They were started recording.
Right, yeah. It's become his thing now.
Right.
It's...
And that's how a lot of things on those platforms do become a thing. So it looks like I'm going to need to be watching a lot more of her films because I was impressed with her thoroughly in this film. And did not expect. It's weird. I basically have never seen.
She's really talented, though. She's really, really talented. So
Mary Queen of Scots, even what?
Yeah.
Literally all of her movies I've never seen. What is up with me?
Yeah, there's a lot she's done that I haven't seen.
Maybe we'll have a Saoirse Ronan week. Yeah, we have a couple of Saoirse Ronan weeks because she has great films.
Yeah. Mary Queen of Scots has freaking Margot Robbie, so I'm gonna watch that just because I love Margot Robbie. You don't like Margot Robbie?
I'm not against her, but I'm not 100% for her either.
Which blonde Australian girl are you a fan of? There's 5 of them. There's 5 of them.
That's kind of the thing.
Right. See, Samara is the other. I love her as well. So
that's great.
She's like the Wish version of Margot Robbie.
I don't know. I don't know. After Ready or Not. I don't
mean acting wise. I don't mean acting wise. I just mean face because Hollywood turns out the same faces. So it's like they saw Margot and was like, we need another one of those, but not quite like her.
There's also the girl
in Babylon,
right? Mm-hmm. Then there's the girl that's in Transformers, but also in Jessica Jones. She's an Australian blonde actress that everybody thinks is Margot Robbie.
She played Trish. She played Trish.
Yeah. And she does a pretty decent American accent. I
couldn't stand her in Jessica Jones. It took a minute for me to like her character. It's something about the way that these Marvel shows write blonde women. It's like they want to really get away from the trope of the stupid blonde. And I'm cool with that because I'm sure they got that from the 40s where it was just the Marilyn Monroe type stuff like that, however you want to slice it. But I'm happy that they're trying to get away from that. But I think the way that they start to write them is obnoxious to a point where it's they just don't listen. So then you still have the trope of them being dumb blondes because they're so righteous and forthright and they don't listen, they get in trouble, and then you're see, they stupid, and it's you go against the grain that you're trying to not do. And I'm just write them better. I kind of like these actresses, write them better. And then somewhere along the line they would ease up a little bit, but I just wanted to murder her character on Jessica. I was like, somebody kill her swiftly, because she was just, I was just strangle her. I was
I would love to touch that question that Hanna threw, that Aina threw into the chat, where she mentioned, is this film, Hanna, based upon the Logan story? Because if you kind of look, you do get this killer girl that's raised by an ex
I would say not
sense,
really. I would say
no, they are definitely not.
It has elements, but I would say it has some elements of the father-daughter, not really my daddy, but my daddy type of thing. And
Logan,
I think that's where it's kind of
Logan. They took parts of X-23, which is a series about her when she's a little older, and then Old Man Logan, which is not that movie at all. Old Man Logan is disturbing and weird and gross, and much more Marvel related than it is just Old Man Logan. Like it deals with all the main characters in one way or another. So I would say read it. It's a great series, but no, I would not say that these are related. Anyway,
I can see the relation though. There's
I can see, the tropes. There are definitely tropes that cross over and story elements. Definitely. Why don't we go ahead and rate this film because we do have 2 other films to talk about, and I think Leave No Trace is going to get us talking quite a bit.
All right, let's go in the order that we started. Mr. Snippets, what's your rating for Hanna?
I'm gonna give it a loose 7. That's not normal for me.
Loose 7.
A loose 7, and that is just because I want to either revisit the film. That's why I'm gonna put it at the 7, or maybe check out the show and see if it'll fill in some of those gaps for me and maybe help me enjoy. Would you rather a moist 7? Would that be better?
I love them both.
The 2 aren't even related.
Everybody hates the word moist, so I thought I'd throw it in there.
I think that's so hilarious. A loose 7 is great. I'll be saying that because I feel like you got that from me saying solid, whatever. So now you're like loose.
Right.
It's loose. It could easily become a 6.
It's a liquid.
A liquid 7. All right, I like that.
That's hilarious.
It's a vapor 8. No, I don't know.
Vapor.
It's gonna get bad. It's gonna get bad. Why don't we rate? So that would mean all the movie things. Your turn to have a loose number of some kind.
No loose numbers.
It's gonna be solid, I'm sure.
So rock hard 8.
Rock hard 8. All right.
That's the end of the show.
That is never not going to be an 8. It is forever an 8.
Forever an 8.
I like
That's hilarious.
He got up there. He chiseled an 8 in stone. He's just like, this movie's an 8. I do like it.
He whispered to it. Whispered some sweet nothings.
It's great. I love that movie.
Became a rock hard.
It's an 8.
It's an 8.
Yeah, he ASMR the 8. That's what they did. That's hilarious.
How about you, Lala?
I mean, I give it an 8. I give it a solid 8. That's what I'll give.
It's a Rocky 7.5,
Because even though I can talk about it and see the things that I'm like, I would have preferred this, I would have liked this. It's still a good movie. Yeah. It's still a solid film. So,
all right, okay,
awesome.
Well, that means we're gonna move on to the next movie. Or La, would you like to do the pre-review? It's up to you.
We can do the pre-review. We'll see what happens.
Let's do the pre-review. So we're going to do the pre-review, and that means we're going to just move over to Law. I'm not going to do the music. Pre-review with Law. Here we go.
Bri gave me a little theme song. I appreciate it.
There you go. Yeah, this is like old school Tonight Show.
Yes, I was like, okay. All right, you guys. Biggie is not here. He's not feeling great, so I will be stepping in as the pre-reviewer for today. We hope you feel better, Biggie. Much love out here to you. Yeah. First, we're going to talk about The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. This is a limited release. It comes out June 9th. It's possible that this might be on like Hulu or Disney, but it's still limited release. So I would say look into where you'd be able to stream this from. This movie stars Leia DeLon Hayes and Denzel Whitaker. The way that I saw, like when I watched this trailer, the way that I looked at this was a modern day Frankenstein's monster. It gives Jordan Peele. It gives Jordan Peele vibes. And I really hate to say that for like new films or new upcoming films, but like there is sometimes there's a precedent first, and then you could be like, you could give people an idea of what they're getting themselves into. So this girl loses her brother, I think it's to gang violence, and she takes it upon herself to try to bring him back, but it goes awry. The horror themes in this seem very interesting. I think people should check that out. So that's The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. Next up, we have Flamin' Hot, which, as a connoisseur of the Flamin' Hot Cheeto, I'm definitely going to see this film myself. Comes out June 9th on Hulu, Disney. Stars Jesse Garcia, Dennis Haysbert, Tony Shalhoub. It's the story of it's literally the story of the creation of the Flamin' Hot Cheeto, but it tells the story of, I believe his name is Richard Martinez or Montañez, I believe his name is. He was a Frito-Lay janitor, and he came up with the idea of the Flamin' Hot Cheeto. based off his son eating elote, and being like, it burns, but it burns good. And so like it gave him the idea of creating something that burns in a good way. And so this is the creation of the Flaming Hot Cheeto. And it looks very comedic. And I think this might be a solid film. Up next we have Dollyland. This is not rated right now, and it's on limited release. Stars Ben Kingsley. I'm sorry, Sir Ben Kingsley. He does have Sir. I will give him that. Even though I call people Sir just off rip, so that might be bad of me. I might have to stop doing that. But anyway, this is the story of Salvador Dali and a show that he puts on in New York, and it's about the assistant that comes in to help him. And it seems extra dramatic and extra just dripping with like decadence, because it looks beautiful with like the outfits and what people are wearing, even though it's paintings and things like that, but it's like he's amongst like very like famous people, so it looks very like rich and decadent.
Are you guys familiar with Salvador Dali?
Partially.
Yeah, his stuff's
partially.
It's great. It's great.
Partially.
And he looks just like him right there, actually.
He does, and he has like the long hair, he has like the mustache. It's I don't know. I think Sir Ben is going to smash this role.
Sir Ben, I love that.
Sir Ben. Up next is Brooklyn 45. This is a Shudder original. I believe it's also kind of limited to release because it's on Shudder. So a Shudder original. Stars Anne Ramsey, and I'm just saying Anne Ramsey because that's the only person in the film that I knew just by looking at him. And I love Anne Ramsey. She always pops up in like little things that people don't really know her in, but she always pops up in things. This film is I won't say modern. It's like an old timey Ouija board like type movie. So it takes place in 1945. 5 military buddies meet up after a while to help their host, because they go to this like hotel type place, and it's kind of like an Airbnb type place, to go and help their host, and all hell breaks loose. And I do mean that, like a lot of old behind the scenes type stuff that they kind of buried, somebody digs it up. And so it's literally like a ghost story, like all these like sci-fi supernatural things happen. Check it out. Next up is Mending the Line. This is a rated R movie. It's limited release. Speaking of Brian Cox, this has Brian Cox. This has Brian Cox and I believe his name is pronounced Sinqua Walls. And Sinqua Walls plays a young soldier who returns from his tour from Afghanistan. And as you would know, he has some issues, some PTSD. So he ends up having some anger issues, and he meets Brian Cox, who plays a Vietnam War veteran, and it shows them helping each other. When I watched this trailer, it was giving me Goodwill Hunting vibes, but with like a soldier twist to it, because it was like mentor mentee, and both helping each other in spots that they probably didn't even know they needed help in. And last but certainly not least, is Transformers: Rise of the Beast. This also comes out in theaters June 9th. I'm assuming all these films come out June 9th, some on platforms, some limited release and other things. So like, just check it out. This stars Anthony Ramos and Dominique Fishback. Y'all know the Transformers movies. I ain't gotta go too deep into this. So like, something is coming to destroy the earth. Optimus Prime is like, this ain't our battle, but all these other new Transformers are like, yo, we live here. We have to save the earth. And it looks awesome. It's Transformers. If you don't like them, you're not gonna watch it. But if you like them, this to me looks like a solid Transformers film.
This is the one where you get to see a humanoid robot transform into a humanoid robot. It's weird.
Yes, it's so good. And what I like about this one as well, too, and I was going to put this out there, is they seem to now be giving technology to the humans. Supposedly, though, I don't know, is this true or not, that this is supposed to be like a prequel or something to the Transformer movies that we've seen, or something like that. I think somebody said, I don't know, don't quote me on that. Because I think if it's a prequel, it don't make sense if it's a prequel. But if it's just a continuation of these films, then it looks like perfection. But I'm excited to see like humans get some of their technology and what they do with that, because it's always humans helping in the battle, but it's like, are you really? Just because you can put the car and drive doesn't mean you really helping. So, and say what you
They
want to
tend
say
to
about
hinder. They were always in
they,
the way.
you know, they do. Like the humans tend to hinder. And say what you want to say about Mark Wahlberg in his movies, they were trash, but at least he was a mechanic. He could fix them up if something happened. Like at least he was viable in some way. But yes, these are the pre-review for this week. We miss you, Biggie.
And we are, of course, going to move on to the next film this evening, and that is Leave No Trace. This is a film that actually was both filmed in Oregon and takes place in Oregon. And of course, if you are a fan of The Real Study, you'll know that two of the hosts are both from Oregon. And so we kind of love these extra films that kind of go over.
Even if this film was trash, these two would have loved this film. Okay, because it was filmed in Oregon. I was like,
that's not because there's a movie called The Hunted that's trash that was shot here.
Yeah, no, they're
Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro.
Not a great film. You're right. Not a great film.
It wasn't that good, but they shot some good here.
So who had seen this film before this week? Okay, so only Brian. So we'll go with La on this one. Leave No Trace.
Leave No Trace. This film shattered me at the end. I was in complete shambles at the end of this film because it's one of those films where it's like you see it coming, but when it comes, it hits you square in the face and in the heart, and I wasn't prepared. I've been watching a lot of father-daughter films lately, and all three of these is essentially father-daughter films. Right. And Count the Little Mermaid, I'm not complete as a person. I am shattered.
You need a break.
I need a break. I need
you
some
to watch some New Girl
or something.
Like.
Yes, I do need some New Girl. I need some Winston in my life because Leave No Trace is. And here's the thing. This is what's great about me as a person, or just about like watching films. Some stuff that you enjoyed in films, you don't enjoy in another film. I love the slow pace of this film. I love the breathability to live in a T. I'm just making up words right now. I just
you roll with it. Go for it.
You know, I just loved, like, I don't know, just how really raw and realistic it looked. It looked like they were just like, which they were, but it looked like they were just filming them, like filming their lives. It was just like, live your lives. We're just going to be around in different places filming, and then we'll make a movie. And I think Ben Foster is hands down one of the most underrated actors of his generation. But I'm sure he's fine because he gets paid, and like he can live his life away from being like mobbed by people and stuff like that. If he can still act and stuff, but he's phenomenal. Anything I see Ben Foster in, I'm just like, why are you this talented? Like, and why aren't you getting more recognition? Like, it just kind of hurts me sometimes because he's so good. Thanks, Biggie. I just saw his message.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, this film messed me up. Like it's so honest, you know, just in like how they talk to each other, how they move, and then her finally stepping up and being like, yo, bro, I like it here. Like, you know, and then her coming to the realization that no matter how many times she sticks by him, he can't stick by her.
He just can't do it. Like,
and it's not his fault. And it's, I mean, after a while, it's like, come get some help, bro. But it's like, but I also get his trepidations as well. So it's like, I can't 100% lay blame at his feet, you know. But he also realized too that like I can't keep forcing her to uproot like this when it's my problem and it's not her problem. So like, just seeing them come to a decision without words was so powerful. And then the whistle, oh man,
their little sound they do.
That little click, that little, like it was so them just man, like, and it just but also gives me like hope because like it's like one of those things where it's like you see him walking down the road and then he cuts back into the woods.
Yeah, so he like disappears.
And just disappears. So I would like to think that he's stuck around. Yeah, he's like in her like atmosphere. Like he might not be like living with her, but I think he's like, I like to believe that he's watching over her, but he's like deep in the woods somewhere, and that he walks and he might grab the food that she leaves, and then he might, like, he's the new person in the woods now who like grabs the. I just thought this movie was really great, and I didn't think I was going to like it. I really did. I saw the poster. I saw Ben Foster, so it gave me hope because it's Ben Foster and I like him. But I've never seen Thomasin. I believe you pronounce her name Thomasin McKenzie. I've never seen her in anything, and I probably have, but I just don't remember.
You probably have. Have you seen Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah, she's
in
the
Jojo
girl,
Rabbit.
right?
She played the older
Last
girl.
Night in Soho.
Okay, so that's
she's in Old. If you've seen Old.
Yeah,
that's where I've seen. Okay, that's that's where I remember her from. Okay, because I was like, I don't think I've seen her before, but it's a possibility that I have. But she doesn't. She has one of those faces. She has one of those faces that's like, you don't remember her until you remember her. You're like, snap, that was the girl from the thing.
I remember her voice more so than her.
She has like this accent, melty, very soft.
Yeah.
It's not American, but it's not American at the same time. But it's also something else. Like, she got like one American parent and one parent to speak something else. And like, it created this sound that comes out of her mouth. But yeah, she was great. I thought she was great, and she's great in a very subtle way. She doesn't make a lot of like she's not big gesturing and like, why won't you listen? Like, she's not like that. She's just like, she has like her dad's temperament in a sense where she's kind of like just very calm about everything, but she thinks about everything. She knows exactly what she means. She says exactly what she picks up information at a rate that I'm like, damn girl, you like shit, you smart. Like, but yeah, this film was like really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this. So this is a rewatcher for sure, like somewhere down the line. So yeah.
Love it. All the movie things.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's like, I mean, they literally crossed the St. John's Bridge. It's our most like visual bridge. It's this old Gothic bridge, and Forest Park is literally right there. Like, you cross the bridge, and Forest Park is huge. Also, Forest Park is where this is based loosely on a true story. So these two existed, and they lived in Forest Park. Forest Park is like one of the biggest urban parks in the country. It's massive. Like, I've hiked through it a million times. There's so many. I would love to go there. Trails. It's great. Like, you literally just go like from the city into this park. It's just right there in Portland, you know. And there's multiple access points all around. I mean, sometimes I'll drive around and all of a sudden I'll see a sign that says Forest Park, like trailhead, just right off the side of the road. Like, oh, but that's how massive this park is, and you could easily do what they did and live
somewhere, because it'd probably be hard for people to find you.
Yeah. So, but it does the funny thing where it kind of like plays with, if you don't live in Portland, they play with like a direction and distance a little bit. Like, they compress it, like, because they go from St. John's, which is like further north than Portland, to like downtown Portland, which is, that's a trek. If they're going by foot, that's a long way. So when they're in that like little tram, that airlift thing, they
had to have gotten to downtown in order to get on that tram to go up to the top
exactly, because the VA, because we're going to the VA, and like that's my VA. Like,
I was gonna say I actually had surgery at that VA, so
that's my VA. So it's cool to see all that stuff, you know.
Yeah, that's the real, like, it blew me away. I was like, I've been in that lobby many times.
I know, like, they didn't use another building. They actually went to the VA.
Right, that is the Portland VA. It's just weird. They don't normally
not
do that in movies,
not y'all sightseeing during the movie.
But there was a lot of that, you know. And they're like, oh yeah, and talking on the bus, they're like, oh, we're gonna be stopping in Salem, and they've listed the movie or the cities in perfect order. I was like,
Eugene.
Yes, and they said Eugene and then University of Oregon. I'm like, that would be the final stop. That makes perfect sense.
That would be it. And and like Law said too, like, I love Ben Foster. I mean, he literally doesn't have to say anything either, because
he barely did in this movie.
he's in a Chris Stapleton music video where there's like, it's just the music, and it's like, and it like ripped my heart out. Like, it's if you haven't seen it, it's for Fire Away is the song. Look up that music video. He's really great in it. Thomasin McKenzie is so good, and it's like it's like inevitable. You know what I mean? Like, that end is inevitable. Like, it had to like resolve that way. And the bigger Yeah, and the bigger thing too that this film, what was it, 2011, right?
2018.
218.
Oh,
Yes,
2018. Okay,
218.
so it's not. I mean, homelessness and houselessness in Portland has been a problem since I've been a kid. Not to this degree that it
Right.
is now. Like it's pretty massive problem right now, and it is everywhere. It's not just Portland. It's like every major city has massive houseless problem. And this movie is very timely in that like it's so frustrating to watch them get ripped away from the home. And like Thomason's character, when she's being like interviewed by like the social service lady, she's like, no, I had a home. That was my home. She's like, you know what I mean? Like that is their home. Like they weren't bugging anybody. They were like, it's just, oh, it's so frustrating, you know, and these like
Mhm.
authorities come in there and like
Yeah, I was
force
annoyed the
them to
entire time with
reintegrate.
her. I was annoyed with
Yeah,
her the entire time, and I understand that she's a
that's just
social worker,
oh,
and that was her job to be like, we got to make sure that people are like just doing. But also, it's one of those things where it's like you're you're literally ripping somebody from their home, even if it's a home that you don't approve of, and you're putting me
yeah,
in a place where like now I have to like find money, make money, where I was just living on the land and just doing my own thing. And I wasn't, because it's like now you're making all new problems for me when we didn't really have any problems from our
exactly.
point of view.
Right,
Like,
right. And there's an interesting thing between Hannah that I noticed when I watched Hannah. And they do it very differently. You know what I mean? So both Hannah and Thomason's, character
Tom.
have experienced very similar things where like this is kind of like all they've known is this growing up in this very
Mhm.
quiet, very present kind of like mindset and just living in the moment. Then they're like pulled into this world where there's like all this stimulation all over the place. They handle that very differently in both these films, but you like get this, you feel
This
exactly
like
what they're feeling. You're just
like
like,
this
oh my
fish out
God,
of
like,
water, like
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
just all this
overwhelming.
stimulation all
Yeah.
at once.
Yeah.
And I thought that was great in both these films, that the way they handled it,
I
but also very differently.
I think that
Yeah.
to put a little finer point on what you're saying, in Hannah, it was very much just the physical differences between living by
Mhm.
yourself in the wilderness and having a society that you
Yeah,
have all these technologies that you're used to. For Tom,
yeah,
I think it was social things that she had never dealt with before. She goes into city with her dad regularly. She knows what cars are. So it wasn't so much the
right.
technology that threw her,
Mhm.
but people and the interactions with people and the lady
Mhm.
that smiled at her that
Mhm.
her dad is always so standoffish with the world that people that smile at her probably make her feel uncomfortable because
Yeah,
that's not something she's used to. Even her dad doesn't really smile at her. He always is keeping her on her toes and trying to get her to survive.
And he keeps her away. He already put in her a fear of people.
Right,
So
right,
he was just like, we don't look at people. We say to ourselves, we don't,
yeah,
whenever she sees people, she hides, even though she's intrigued, she eventually hides. So like, yeah, it
right.
was more social. Whereas it was still social with Hannah, but it was also like other things too.
It
Like when
was
she saw the
technology, a
plane,
lot of
it was,
technology.
yeah. It
Right,
was
it
a
was a
lot
that
of
lot of
technology,
shocked her.
technology.
but
Yeah,
the social thing was a thing too. Yeah,
Yeah, the
because
social thing was a thing
but
for
for
her as
her, it
well.
was
Yeah.
more like she was much more of the feral child in the sense that social to her was just like, oh, a person. They're talking. What are they talking about? While
yeah.
with Tom, it was much more like, guarded. I don't know if I trust people,
Mhm.
but still
Yeah, because
having to learn, to
they were
talk to
trained
people.
differently. Like he was kind of training Hannah to deal with people. This is how you deal with people. They're gonna ask you these things, or these are the things that you tell them. So
I
for
know
the
she
most
just
part,
rattled it off
she just rattled it off. They like the girl was just
so
like,
naturally too. There's like,
and she was just like,
yeah,
I'm from Leipzig, and I'm this. She just like rattled
yeah.
it off. So it's like he taught
I'm
her.
interested in
He
many
didn't teach her
things.
nuances on how to talk to people.
Right.
So it was like socially, she still had like she could speak well enough that people were just like, all right, she's a little different.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom, she didn't know even though she did know how to speak to people to in a certain extent, there was a fear to do it
Right.
because
Mhm.
she was intelligent, she was smart, she answered
Oh yeah.
questions very
She
very
was like a higher
well.
level than what
Yeah,
Then
then they
people,
were
what
supposed
every
to.
other
Yeah.
kid was like. Yeah,
I was going to school.
with
I'm
her
like,
age.
take me to the woods, then I need to
I
learn
know.
something. Like,
So
Yeah.
for me, I think this film covers a few, obviously the things we've discussed already, but obviously there's something to be said about a film that really shows the trauma of veterans and what they go through, and the fact that we're basically just putting them through a system where we give them drugs that they are saying these drugs don't work after a while or don't work at all, but you're just going to give this to me as if this works. And what do? You know, this is the way that he has figured out to deal with his trauma. Too bad he couldn't get the dog to help him out with that. I mean, he did a little bit. Will has done everything he can to bury his head and all the pain that he's felt over the years. And I really loved the moment between him or between the medic and Tom and how he explains what her dad is going through. And I think that was her realization moment where she realized this is not going to change. He's this way for good. That, and I think this movie goes into generational trauma because obviously everything Will goes through has had a complete effect on Tom and her life and her upbringing. And what effect will that have on her children, etc. So it definitely touches on generational trauma.
I feel like she broke that when she broke away from him. So I feel like that trauma I feel like it'll only be with her because she's still at a point at her life where like she can.
Well, she doesn't actually deal with it.
Right, she can.
She has to actually deal with it.
But I feel like she's at a point where she's at a young point where she can break some of that from her because she is amongst people that understand. Like that medic still lives there. She can still talk to him. Like there are people that are nice to her that'll help her like transition a little bit better, even though I'm pretty sure that'll still take some time.
Well,
I just feel
that
like
community
she's at an age where
was
she can
the literal perfect community for her.
Oh,
there was no better place for them to land than there. And it's almost
there's
like
also
fate
elements
landed
of
in there.
There's also elements too of in this one and Hanna where she's like just wanting to be a kid, you know.
Yeah.
Like there's that, like, and Thomason was great at that as a Saoirse, but like there's definitely this little like childlike wonder that she's tapping back into. I mean, just these little things, and they're like little tiny things that maybe weren't even in the script. I imagine like there's a scene where she's walking along the trail at that like community before she approaches the one with the bees. And there's like a little
touches,
like, she just spins this little thing, you know, just like playing around. And
well,
you
her
know,
and the briar
walking
horses, right, when they have to leave the trailer, and she's not the trailer. I guess it was a manufactured home, but she has two briar horses that somebody gave her, and she ends up looking at them, and then just setting them down and leaving. And it's like she keeps having to leave her childhood behind every time he drags her out of the house. And the second time he dragged her out of the house, I was like, Will, what are you doing, dude? Stop this. You're torturing this poor girl.
Also just like making her leave a better sense of comfort, a better sense of just, you know, even though it's her childhood as well, but it's just like, I'm on a bed now, my boy. Like, I got my own room. I can like set up things the way that I would like them to be. They don't, and we're still protected. Like we're still in a box. We're still like, people still don't, you know, she's like, we're good here. Like people won't, and we can go sleep outside if we want to. Like she was really trying to like appeal to the things that she knows that she thinks she knows he likes. It's like, we could be outside. We can still be together. Like we can still, but like, it's like safer here. Like, let's be here. I want to be here. Like, you know what I mean? And like,
I'll be honest.
The entire like film, I felt for her hard.
I'm surprised she didn't wake up to find him on the floor or sleeping in a different way. I felt like that was a slight missed opportunity because it's a very normal approach for people who have been overseas and who have gone through war to not feel comfortable in a bed anymore. So, not that everybody's different.
Everybody's different, but I also like that that's not the issue for him. So, like,
it's that he's in civilization.
It's that he's in, right. That's his issue. I don't think his issue is like, I can't sleep on it. Like, not saying that I'm not really knocking anybody because I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to family members, not knocking it at all. But I feel like for the purpose of this film, like, I don't think that was a thing that was messing with him. I think it was just life in general, civilization in general.
Agreed.
You know,
you mentioned the pacing in the beginning of the discussion of this film. And as much as it's shorter than Hanna, I think by like 5 minutes, it felt shorter, even though they're very close in length. But I like the deliberateness in this movie. Sometimes the pacing needs to be slow, and the lingering on everything was us watching them linger on these things and watching Tom really linger on
it. Worked. It worked.
It really did. And even just each person they came in contact with the exception of the actress, I always forget her name. She's in freaking everything. Dale
Yeah,
Dickey.
she is.
Dale Dickey, who's
They
amazing.
always cast her in these in the
They
role
do,
like this,
but
where
she's always just like either a
Small
wise
She's
woman
like
or a
this
crazy
right.
woman, right? One or the
like,
other.
but also she's always a part of like a rural like society where it's
Right.
like, you know, kind of like grungy.
Yeah,
you know,
I've
kinda-
seen her play like
she's
a
always
down dirty hick, you know, like she's
Yeah.
played it all.
or like she's the leader of like a gang of biker bar people. Like she's always that character.
So if you take Thomason, Ben, and Dale out of the film, I feel like they just got Oregonians to sit in these spots because the lady with the bees just felt like a lady with bees that
That's
they were
what
like filmed the 4-H thing
And
felt
that's-
like just they filmed 4-H, you know.
What's funny too is there's a lot of faces I recognize, or a lot of names I recognize in the crew list once you get down to it. So they did use a lot of crew, but there's a casting guy who worked on Portlandia and other stuff, Simon Maxhill, and he's very much about like he's really good at finding local Oregonians to like fill in these kind of like very specific
If you go
roles. Like,
get the people that live here, like
exactly. That's
wild
that's
to
what he
me.
did.
Yeah.
They met in the church, so Kristen just brings up the church, and they bring the people from Klamath Falls, and you're like, yeah, this feels right, you know. That's a real
They
thing,
are though, like
right?
they're in the credits as like that's what they literally. That's the same people. Like they weren't like created for this film or anything. Like they literally came from Klamath Falls,
and it's
to do this
smart
film.
financially to do. I'm just saying.
Well, I swear the medic guy
so
is a
smart.
real army medic that happens to live in Oregon.
Uh-huh.
I swear that like the girls they meet, like all I swear the three actors,
the social
are
worker
real actors,
woman,
and everybody else is
she's
real.
a Portland actress. The one that,
makes sense.
So, they're all.
This is a movie too where there is the antagonist is reality or like just life,
right?
Because nobody does wrong. It's like as much as it's awful that they tore down these camps. It's kind of like getting pissed at the guy that's pulling the lever for the death penalty. It's literally they don't have a choice. This is what they do, right?
It's a system
So you can't blame the individual. So I wasn't mad at the guy running the backhoe, but at the same time, I'm like, you son of a bitch. And then the same thing with the social worker. I'm like, leave them alone. But I also understand this girl could be in
for sure.
way worse position.
Every time
she popped up, safe, you know. So
every time she popped up with something, she's bringing bikes and she doing this thing, and he's just like, we don't need more stuff. Like you're making this like because they're like a minimalist family. Like we don't need much. All we need is some clothes on our back. Like we don't need all these things, you know. But Tom is like a bike, like. But then when he showed her how to ride a bike, I thought that was like. Because it's like it's one of those things where it's like kind of being locked.
Shows you how long they've been out there.
Locked within yourself in a way, because it's like he knows there's some gaps that he needs to fill in for her, but then it's like maybe when he's about to do it, his other side is like, oh my God, I gotta protect her and we can't do it. He gets into these things. So like just seeing a moment where like. None of that mattered, and he taught her how to ride a bike. I was like, that's
right. Yeah.
Like he's not a bad father. He's such a good father. He's just damaged by what this world has done to him, and they're not willing to try to fix it or help him fix it. So he's going about it in the best way that he knows possible.
What I think this movie illustrates is that there isn't fixing soldiers when they come back from war. To me, it's a stark warning that maybe we don't send them in the first place unless it's crucial, unless it's to literally defend the borders of our nation. We shouldn't be putting people through this bullshit because you're breaking people and you're literally breaking people for generations.
But like you're
not
doing anything. And then
you're giving them psych meds in a broken VA system. Yeah. The VA system is still
it's not like
broken.
You're breaking them and you're being like, oh my God, we need to put all of our resources, all of our time management into helping these people. You're breaking them and then being like, the next batch should come on in so we can break you as well. Like you're not, and you wonder why people like find solitude in the woods or underneath freeway passes or wherever they can be, because it's like, I've tried to get help and nobody wants to help. And the people that said that they were going to help after this is done still ain't helped. And it's like it's a really like really fucked up cycle. That sucks.
What's screwy is that as a veteran, and I'm not going to speak for all the movie things, but he may be able to attest to this. But as a veteran, there are some of us that still do get good care and can find the system to be very beneficial because we're either not, broken mentally and it's physical ailments that we're going through, which is what I'm going through. And, I fell into the system in such a way that it's helped me rather than hindered me. But I could see how if you didn't have family support or if you didn't have
for sure.
maybe even a good connection with the VA or maybe a bad, representative, because that happens as well, how you could easily fall through the cracks. And maybe you only got 10% for something and you're trying to fight for the fact that you have brain damage, but they're not telling you.
Yeah, that's the
they're
thing
saying
too.
no,
There's
all those.
Yeah, you have to fight for all that kind of stuff. And like Snitty mentioned, I've been pretty lucky. Like I served during wartime, but I didn't see like actual like anything that like would mess me up. But I have seen like just a little hint of like the bullshit, red tape that you kind of have to go through. Like the recent thing, and I can just imagine how much more just expounded this must be and how much worse it is for those that are struggling. Like if you don't see your primary care after like, if there's like too much of a time span between, they'll take you out of the rotation and you have to like, and if it's like a 2-year thing and they don't call you, they don't remind you, they don't send you anything saying, hey, this time's coming up, you should probably check in with your primary care. They just take you out of the system and then and you don't even know it. And so when I had like an emergency one time, and I went to that VA we seen in the movie, and they didn't like recognize or see me, and I had to like re-register basically for everything because I was like taken out without me even knowing it. So it's like, wow, if I had like problems, this would
would know. And I think that's my biggest issue. It's not so much that like nobody gets help or service, because I know that they do. It's one of those things where it's like, if you can look me up and know that I was a part of whatever corps I was a part of, wherever I was going, you know, if I was in Afghanistan, if I was a medic, all these things. You can look me up and say that, but you can't check on me and make sure that I'm fine.
That's the thing.
Especially if I have like anybody that has physical ailments. Pick up the phone, do your due diligence. I'm sure but if I have mental issues, and I have mental issues,
history,
because I know that I have mental issues, there needs to be social workers within there that purposely check up on these people daily to make sure that they're fine, to make sure, hey, you got to sign this, but there's nobody like that. And I think that's so messed up, because your first thing would be,
it's done on purpose.
They will say, I know, and that's the
like
really messed up part about it,
built in,
because what you'll do is be like, well, they never came to us and said anything. Like, it's always, you'll push it back on the people that need you instead of making it be like that was an oversight on us.
I guarantee it's about money, because they do that. So like, it's like, now we don't have to spend money on this person.
Exactly. It's always about money. And that's so messed up, because like, you're willing to destroy people, like destroy people.
Right. Yeah.
And then not only destroy them, but you destroy generations, because maybe that's the only person that's in their family and they need that person. But now they don't know what to do. Like, it's so messed up.
No, yeah.
It's
so and this is the first generation of people that they've ever even sort of tried to do something for.
Right.
Going back to my father's generation, my dad had PTSD before they knew what the hell to call PTSD. I mean, I guess they called it shell shock, and they called it,
like my
these various things.
But
he was so jacked up from it that he became an alcoholic. This is definitely part of the reason he died young, because he was so jacked up in the head. And he moved out to the woods because he hated people. Like him and Will, which they're both named Will. That's interesting. I didn't think about that.
That's funny.
Are very similar in that instead of just going and living in the woods, my dad was like, I'm just going to buy a piece of property in the middle of nowhere, put a house on it, and do the same thing. He distrusted the water district, so he cut himself off from it. He distrusted all sorts of things and cut himself off from it so that he could get his own water. Like my dad was right there because of just distrust for a place or for a group of people that put you in the position and then did nothing to help you out of it.
They abandoned you. Y'all essentially, they're abandoned. And I think that's so messed. I think that's so messed up. That's so messed up.
It is. And when they do find a place to live, we tell them they can't live there.
They can't live there.
Yeah.
Instead of telling them they can't live there, why don't you make this like a park where like
put some tiny homes right there?
Put some tiny homes in here, so that they can live there. Like change change it for people. Because if you're not willing to put in the time and the effort to help them mentally, and this is something that calms them, or this is something that works for them, work with that. Don't work against that, so that you can feel comfortable with people living the way you want them to live. I think that's so messed up. This world is so backwards. I swear.
Brian, you might have had one more thing it sounded like.
I was just saying, like, especially with like their situation, you know, it's Forest Park. You would not know that they were there, like just hiking through that park, like just from personal experience. I wouldn't have no idea that they're there, but can't have them there because it's public land, right?
Well, those liberal good do-gooders are up there trying to tell people to get out of the park, and that's what it felt like. The runner came by and was like, "Oh, I saw a girl in the wood," and then they send the cops. I'm like, "What the hell?" Like,
yeah, which was kind of weird too. Was like she could have just been like enjoying.
But I could have been hiking myself. Right. Like,
yeah, she was
I was taking a pee.
Right behind
me.
Leave
me alone.
Like,
you know,
it's so weird. But then, like, well, we can't have all these people camped in neighborhoods and on the streets, though. You know what I mean? So it's like
in Eugene,
you can't.
They don't. It is not illegal to camp anywhere you want on public land in Eugene now. They made it an ordinance. Now it might not help things, but it also stops me from being harassed.
Right. That's the thing.
And
like,
moved along.
Criminalizing
that's good.
it is the thing.
They decriminalized homelessness here in Eugene, which I thought was
great. But that's the part that really bugs me a little bit, is the fact that they're like, you can't do this on public. It's public.
I know. That's what, I know. That's my thing too. It's like,
especially if I'm a veteran, and so I paid some taxes and worked for our government.
Not hurting anybody.
I was like, but that's like that's like somebody telling me I can't sit at this bench because it's a public bench. But
it's like, that's why I'm here.
Well, no, see, there is an element of this country where it's like, I'm in public, don't take my picture. What?
Yeah,
you're in public. I will take whatever I want. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
so
fair game, right?
We do have one more movie to get to.
But to me, those are two different things. But people don't see it like that. But those are two different things, because like, I'm not a part of the public.
If it's suddenly,
like,
but if you're in public, you are part of the public.
This building is a part of the public. You can take a picture of this building, let me know, and I'll step out of the way. But for somebody to physically take a picture of me, I'm like,
you can not like it, you can object, you can ask them politely to erase it, but you have no legal right. Or they can take a picture all day long.
I should have a legal right that if you take a picture of me, if I'm
going to sell it, if I'm going to make money off of it, I have to get your permission.
You have to get my permission. But I feel like if a girl is taking a picture and I just happen to be in the background of it, I can care less about that. Right. But if you think that you could come up to me and take a picture of me, I'm gonna fight you.
Well, that's different. Right. I mean, that's your right to your reaction.
I mean,
I'm a fight.
Still makes it. It's still
like
legal.
Approaching you. Yeah. If they're taking a picture of like taking video,
but
that's always the problem, though. It's like people are always like, they're not taking video of an actual person. They're just taking video in a public space, and people are like freaking out. Like, you can't take video here. It's like,
no, I've seen those videos.
Excluding you.
I've seen those videos, and I've been like,
yeah, like, mind your business.
Singling
There's
you
always other people.
Do other things.
Exactly. There's all these other people mind their business except for this one person.
I'm on the Las Vegas Strip filming all the lights, but you came through my frame, and you're why I'm here.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
You saw me.
You messed up my light. You messed up my shot. Okay, you owe me an apology.
I have a problem with you. Like, yeah.
Why don't we rate Leave No Trace, and we'll move on to our final film of the evening. We took this. Law, you were first. We'll go ahead and rate Leave No Trace.
So Leave No Trace, because I cried. Okay, because I cried, and if you get me to cry, it's a problem. With a good problem. I give this a 9. This was solid. I give this a 9 because because I didn't expect to like it, and I end up liking it, and it made me cry, and I was like, well, I was wrong about this one, so this is a 9. This is
All the movie things.
Yeah, it's a 9 for me also.
9. Okay. I'm kind of the giver of big numbers. No, it's a 10. This movie, I think, is an important film.
Look at you!
I think this film needs to be watched by anybody who seems to have a problem with homelessness, doesn't understand what veterans go through, wants to watch a good movie about life, and wants to feel a movie that's probably closer to real life than most any movie I've ever seen. Like, it feels like just people, which is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, 10. I did want to do another shout out to Hanna, who is our, for lack of a better term, the Real Study production assistant. She is awesome, always doing things in the background. There is a letter box now for the Real Study where you can actually go on and see what all of our ratings were for season 2. The average, it's kind of like our version of Rotten Tomatoes, if you will. And there apparently were 4 films that got rated 10 out of 10 on the Real Study, and I did not know this, but I thought that was kind of cool, just for the sake of putting them out there. Do the Right Thing, Judas and the Black Messiah, The Wrestler, and Thelma and Louise have all been rated 10 out of 10 by the Real Study page.
And I don't think I was here for Do the Right Thing or Judas.
Oh no, okay. I would love to hear.
Funny.
I still want to hear
the
your
ones
thoughts.
I was gone for.
No, yeah, you were. That's right. You were doing your play.
Oh yeah, that was during my
play.
Yeah,
so I actually got to get a list of the films that y'all did for January because I do want to watch them and give a review because I
want to hear.
They don't have to be included. They don't have to be included in like the rating for this because I wasn't a part of that, and that's fine. But I just wanted to give like my thoughts because I was a little pissed during my play because when I saw the movies y'all were doing, I was like, they would do the motherfucking movies when I wasn't here. I was so mad. I was like, God damn it, I wanted to see this.
But it was February and we were trying to.
I know, but I was like, I'm gonna strangle each and every one of you the first time I meet you just for that moment. This is for January. But
maybe we can do a revisit and we can have the 10 out of 10 films be the revisit, because they're good enough.
That's cool. I feel like we should do that for like our anniversary or something like that. That should be an anniversary show.
Yeah, I like that. That could be our return show for season 3. That said, we do have one more film to talk about this evening. I'm almost certain there's not going to be a lot. Let me put it this way. When All the Movie Things listed the movies or saw the movies listed this week, he said something along the lines of, I love 2 out of 3 of these films.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure because my feelings on Hanna made me wonder if that's what it was or, if something like that. But no, it turns out that I'm almost certain it's where the Crawdads sing.
It's not too bad. Don't worry.
It's not that you hate it or anything, but just
It's just
definitely
out of the 3.
So let's start with All the Movie Things. Where the Crawdads sing.
All right. So this is the second time I see it. I saw it in theaters. Never read the book or anything, but it was like this phenomenal bestseller. And it's got Hello Sunshine behind it, which is her name is escaping me. You got her name right there, don't you?
I'm working on it for you. The director you're talking about, Olivia Newman?
No. Hello Sunshine is a production company. It's
no, Reese Witherspoon. That's right.
Yeah,
Reese Witherspoon. That's right. Yeah.
And
he's doing a lot more behind the scenes, Reese.
Yeah. So she's kind of like she has like her own like book recommendation thing, kind of like Oprah has her thing. So that's where this kind of like spawned from. But like it's for me, it's like just okay. What I mean? Like there's a lot of like I tried to go back and watch my review for it too to see if I feel like I liked it more this time around, just a little bit than my initial watch, because I think my expectations were based on like the marketing for the film. They marketed it as like this kind of like almost like crime thriller in a way, where it was very little of that. It was mostly this all flashback, and then we get these little bits of like present day courtroom drama stuff. And I thought it was like more like about like this mystery, and they made it like seem like it's gonna be like this mystery and everything. And so knowing all that going into it this time around, I was like, okay, that's not what it's about. Let's see what we can kind of glean from this time. And like I will say though, it is like, I mean, we talked about abandonment already. Like this is like, she's like the queen of abandonment in this movie. Like like the little girl that plays like the young, she's really great. I mean, she was like, man, just terrible situation this person came up from. And but yeah, I think for me this time around again, it was just okay. And I think it's still like, I kind of wish it was not so much flashback kind of thing, and I kind of wish like we had a little more of like that mystery element that they kind of like alluded to. I don't know how the book is. I don't know how well adapted this book is. I usually try not to like confuse the two. A lot of people are like, "Oh, the book is better than the movie, or the movie's better than the book." It's like, well, why are you comparing two different complete mediums? I mean, the book is going to be your own experience, your own, kind of thing, and a movie is a totally different experience. So, yeah, I think like I said, I think I did enjoy it a little bit more this time around. I felt a little more emotion towards it, especially in the beginning, like when we like see all of her abandonment. It's just like, got one thing after another, and you see why she is the way she is with like when like Tate doesn't come back for the 4th of July thing. You're just like, oh my god, like that's just another element of abandonment for her. You know what I mean? And it's just, yeah, she just could not catch a break. So it's heartbreaking and sad to watch, but still, I wish there was a little something more to it.
All right, that's fair. How about you, La? Where the Crawdads sing.
Where the Crawdads sing. I enjoyed this film. I found it very interesting, but this is one of those films where I felt like the pacing, I was like, y'all could have sped this up just a little bit. Like just a little bit.
Right.
Like,
yeah. There's some
like,
pacing stuff.
There's some,
Yeah.
I was just like, like we spent it too long now. Like I felt like I was getting country as I was watching it. But overall, I thought it was like it was a little heartbreaking to watch her story. And I felt really bad for her because I was just like, so nobody took her? What?
No one.
She's the youngest one, and I was like, y'all didn't take her, would you? Like and I get it. Like the mom walked out very like I felt like she was in a trance, in a haze, where she was just like, I'm gonna die here.
She's in survival mode at that point.
She was in survival mode. Like her brain just kind of like shut off, and she was like, I gotta go.
But how do you leave your children? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any kids. My mom didn't leave us when she needed to get out of the situation. She silently took us. So like, I personally don't know, but I also don't know what goes through your mind when you've been beaten like that, and there's no telling how long she's been beaten before those kids came along, to the point where now she was at her breaking point, where she was just like, because it looked like she was a zombie when she left. Right. Like she didn't look like she was all the way there. So like, I just felt bad for her because like the mom wanted her and she never knew because she couldn't read. Her keeping the ashes to that letter broke my heart a little bit.
I know.
But then you also see the resilience in this little girl. You also see that she was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this for myself then. Like like she learned like what was it in Hanna? He told her adapt or die, and that's literally what Kaya did. She adapted so she wouldn't die. And I felt, I don't know, I felt like a camaraderie with her character, a strength in her that she developed on her own that nobody taught her. Not to say that nobody taught her, because once again, in these old Southern films, you get the black people that protects, and they don't get the rightful shine that they deserve, because I wanted more from Jumpin' and his wife. I felt like they were more integral to this, probably in the book.
They were her parents.
In the film, they were her parents.
Right.
Yeah.
They were her parents, and I feel like because him wanted to make sure that she was okay, like that scene broke me when he was like, because if anything happened to you, and he stopped, and I was like, God damn it! I was like, these father-daughter shit. So I'm like, God damn it! But so it was just like, I don't know. Then when he dies and they go to the funeral, she's like, she loved you so much. I'm just like, I wanted her to be like, I love Dad too, or something like that. But I noticed like that's hard for her. I know that's hard for her, but I wanted more from that. I wanted her to kind of acknowledge that, because it just looked like because I can read my own stuff into it, but it just from looking at it first, it just looked like she was just like, appreciate y'all for helping out, and then she would just disappear, like, I love y'all too, like, but I ain't gonna say it out loud, but you know what it is. And she would just leave. But I just wanted more like heartfelt things from them, especially when in the beginning he was very much like, you better leave that girl to her own devices. We ain't got time to be
that scene.
bringing, we ain't got time to be bringing in, and she gave him that Bible quote.
I love it.
Like,
Like he's like, be careful. She's like, it doesn't say be careful in the
Be
Bible
careful in the
anywhere.
I know exactly.
Anywhere. I was just like,
he
I
was,
like this.
he was like,
But at the
You're
same
right.
time, they're both right.
no, for sure.
If you think about it, because at that
Especially
in that
during
era,
that time.
in that
it's
time,
like,
yep, in the South, like
yeah.
Well, look at the
Especially
guy
when
that
he-
was coming in for the
he-
real estate, the way he treated him, the way he spoke to
Yeah,
him.
the
my
way
God.
he hit him,
Hold
the
on.
way he hit
Very
him with the
racist.
boy, I was
God,
like,
it's
Yeah.
like, you better get the hell out of my store, like.
this is why I was born in '86. Because
God, and like watching that actress's face too during that whole scene too, like,
yeah, she
like
was great.
they have to like put on this face.
She was
like-
like, the moment he walked on the, she was like,
Oh my God, yeah, she's
the
like,
moment he walked on the door, she was like,
and just
Like-
it's like that's so good.
because it's
Yeah.
one of those things, and then it's like if you think about it, 2023, that hasn't changed. So
Right. Yeah,
it's, you might not call me boy now because
right,
that's
exactly.
whooped.
You'll say
But-
other things that are coded,
But you do say other things. It's right. It's coded. That stuff like that. So it's, I don't know. This film, like, was it perfect? No, but it was a very good film. Like, you can understand her trepidation with everything, but also the fact that, like, don't get it twisted. Just because I love her, I ain't stupid.
Mhm.
She might be slightly gullible, like a little bit naive, a little bit because of different stuff, but she knows a predator when she sees one because she lived with one.
Yeah.
So it's like, and even though
And
she
she's
did
gonna
it,
fight back.
I love that she
Right.
murdered him.
It's like, oh.
I love that she murdered him.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
That's what the show is about, right? We spoil
Right, no,
things.
we're a
Yeah.
spoil
show.
show without a
Oh
doubt.
man. Yeah.
Sorry,
But-
sorry if you ain't seen it, but she murdered boy, and
The look
I loved
on Tate's
everything.
face, though, where he's like,
when he realized
He's
it.
golden,
When he
man. Yeah.
realized it, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
and then he's like, ah, shit. Well, what do you
All right,
do?
let's just burn- let's
I'll
just burn
protect her.
evidence.
I'll protect her
Didn't
life,
kill me,
her
so.
legacy. Right. And he knew that Chase was a piece of shit. Like he knew this. Like they
Oh, yeah.
obviously fought.
But also, it's one of those things where it's like you don't think somebody that you love is capable of that, and then,
right.
but then you kind of,
They spent years together, and he didn't know she was like
Right,
that.
he
But
didn't
she
know
was
that she
really
was
an
like that.
alligator in the marsh. Not
for
a
sure. But it's one of those things where it's like I think Chase would have killed her if she didn't kill him. So, because
maybe.
what did he say? He said, "You belong to me now." I said,
Yeah.
"Yes."
Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
I
he was,
said,
he
"Kill
was
him,
a piece of
kill
shit.
him." I said,
This-
"Kill him, he dead, but kill him again."
This movie to me feels like a Hallmark mystery, and
I can see that. Yeah, it does.
No, true. True.
so here's what I think. My wife read the book.
But I
She
enjoy
said the book
those.
is interesting, and she said it's good.
Mhm.
But she didn't understand why all the hype. And it was like, so I think Reese and Taylor, who obviously did the song for this movie, and a few
Right.
other ladies who read this book in the book club were like, holy shit, this book is amazing. And I think it's because it just hit them right at the right time of their life, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then they were like, let's make a movie. And they're still hyped about it. Well, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Good acting. I love Garrett Dillahunt, who plays Pa, is actually
Mhm.
Bert from Raising Hope. And if you've never
Yeah.
seen him play
Uh-huh.
the other side, he's a hilarious comedic
Oh yeah,
actor.
he's funny. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so seeing him
No,
as
I
Pa,
love him.
I was
He's
like,
great.
oh, dude, this dude is like really bringing it to the other side. And I got to
Yeah,
give it
he's
to the
amazing.
fighting choreography in this film. The punches looked fucking real. Like,
yeah.
all of them. Every time somebody hit
Yeah,
somebody,
they
I was
look
like,
like they land.
whoa, they got a
Yeah.
like good choreographer for this.
Mhm.
But then I also love David Strathairn. I always say his name wrong. but-
Thorn, yeah.
Strathairn. He's
Mhm.
great in almost everything he always does. But
Yeah.
I felt this is kind of what you were alluding to a little bit, Brian. I feel like he was underutilized. They could have done far
Yeah.
more with the court
Yeah,
scenes
yeah.
and given me a bit of a court drama to really draw me in.
Mhm.
Because in court drama, as soon as I was like, oh, they're going to go to court, I'm like, they didn't show us anything in the
Actually,
court. I was frustrated
know.
by that. I love court
I
dramas.
get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I get that, but also I feel like it kind of, it's Southern, and like I don't think, and it's a small town. I don't think much happens there, and I don't think they use a court system that much. Like I think they, I feel like for a small town, most of those lawyers there, they make their money outside of their own town, but they're like, I'm the hometown like lawyer, so if something happens, I'm here if you need me. So I felt like them kind of being like, well, she did it. Like I felt like I just felt like it's in that setting because like limited resources, limited everything. They're like best case scenario, she was with him last, she did it, and we don't know her. We don't like her no way. So we might as well just make it so she did it. So I felt like because I feel like he has I love this actor by the way. He's been in so many things.
He's awesome.
I feel like he has a way of being small but making it look big, and I felt like that's kind of how his character was because he was bigger in like words than he was in gestures, and he was like, "You gonna hear all this stuff from these people? I just need you to listen to the facts."
And that's kind of him as an actor.
My
He kinda
brain,
does that.
I
There's,
keep
like-
thinking,
For sure.
I know him. He plays a blind man. He's Whistler from Sneakers. It's my brain did not pick up on that.
And he's in A League of Their Own.
Right.
Yeah, love him in the League of Their Own.
you know,
He was
like,
in
he got
he was
pops
in
in
the
there.
show
Alphas.
LA
Alphas.
Confidential.
Yeah,
If you've ever seen Alphas was so good. Sci-fi.
he's in so much.
I'm still mad at you, Sci-Fi. I'm just gonna say that.
Sheldon Cooper is also mad at you, Sci-Fi.
Yes,
but we know that
yes,
already.
Sci-Fi, but yes, because
Sorry.
that scene when that scene came up in Big Bang Theory when he was mad that Alphas got canceled, I felt
You were like
vindicated.
Sheldon, right?
I
My
felt
guy.
vindicated. It's the only time I love Sheldon. Like one of 4 times I love Sheldon,
I
and that was
love
one of the
Sheldon.
moments.
Sheldon's one of my characters. That's my like. Just put it on when I
My
don't think.
the only time I like Sheldon is when, see, I you know, come on now. See, the only time I like Sheldon is when people lay into him and he gets it. I'm not saying that he doesn't have moments where he's funny and he's like he does like silly stuff or he might say something out of pocket and it's funny, but I love Sheldon when he can finally hear somebody's pain. He can never see it, but he can always hear it. And when he hears somebody else's pain and he's like, well, okay. Like that's my favorite Sheldon when he does that. So yeah.
So
we'll continue.
I've been watching a lot of Trek because, of course, one of our hosts is a huge Trekkie and has kind of gotten us all kind of inspired to watch. And because I watched a lot more Trek with specifically Leonard Nimoy lately, and then I watch Jim Parsons as Sheldon Cooper, I'm like, dude, all Jim Parsons did was literally watch Spock for 3 seasons,
Right.
and then become that, which is fine, it works. But I realize he's just being Spock all the time.
They pretty
Like-
much let you know that in the series because he's such
But the
a
acting,
huge
like he
fan
really
of-
does.
He's such
Jim
a huge
Parsons
fan of
studied
Spock.
Leonard Nimoy, so like he
Yeah.
did a good job.
I feel like but I feel like that's like an Easter egg in the show itself is because like he loves Spock so much because he relates to him so much, and then it's like, but then people will finally get it, like, oh, he do act like Spock, like because that's where the inspiration comes from. Like it's like a roundabout Easter egg. I love it.
Yeah, by the end of the show, he's acting a little bit more like Picard, but we don't need to go into that.
That's
So
funny.
we've got this movie to rate.
Aina said she would have loved this movie if they made it more like Law and Order SVU, and I'm not mad at it. And I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it.
Like I said, it had too much of a hallmarky, and I think that's what you guys were talking about, where it felt clean. Like we're in the marsh, we're in the funk, and the only thing that's dirty is her feet. I'm like, yeah, they like smudge a little dirt right there. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, she's like perfect.
yeah.
she's
The little
beautiful.
girl
No,
version
but-
was way dirtier than the adult version.
But
you know.
but to me
Right.
that makes sense because as she got older, her life started to change. She started when she was younger. It was all about getting these muscles, getting in this dirt to get money,
Right.
to get food. And then as her life started to adjust, she started meeting boys, and that's when she started putting on makeup, and that's when she started brushing her hair and putting on.
I mean, but
cuter
even
clothes and stuff
before-
like that.
Before
I mean,
that,
before boys, but
we would think she would be like a little dirtier, at least.
Something.
But I mean,
I
I
know,
understand like
she's
what you're
a
saying,
girl,
like
and
when
she's
she starts like getting involved with guys, like maybe,
But even
I don't
the
know.
boats were clean. Like even
Right.
like everything
I'm
had like a
crying.
cleanliness to it,
yeah,
where it didn't feel like it was dirty from being in the marsh for 30 years. Like it just didn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know.
I get what you're
And
saying.
I
but,
do
you
want to
know.
go back
Little-
one more time to. I'm sorry, the mom leaving makes her as evil, in my opinion, as the dad. Like the dad is evil, and there's no doubt. Mom leaving
No,
because she's
I
being
get
beaten.
that.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
important. I'm glad she left.
Mhm.
Take
I
your
get
fucking
that.
kids with you, and if you
Yeah. I
don't,
get that.
you are as big of a problem. And then I
Yeah,
blame
you're just-
every
Yeah.
other one of her siblings, and the fact that
get
she's
that.
like, "Oh, my mom," and "Oh, my brother," and it's like they all ditched you, and then like he comes back from war,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden he cares, and why do you care? People who
Yeah,
are
like-
abandoned like that don't generally care when those
no
people
one
come
comes
back.
exactly like no one comes like. I mean, he didn't even come back until he saw that she had this book published.
Right.
Like that's the only, or otherwise he would have never showed
Right.
up.
So she was famous. Now he
Yeah.
shows up. Like that's
Yeah,
a little
like-
suspicious.
But I mean, to
That's
me,
cool.
that I don't know. I feel like that plot point would have hit differently if somewhere in there he was asking her for money or if he was like hitting her up. But like,
Sure.
because he didn't even think she was still there. Like he didn't realize until he saw the book that she was even still like in
Right.
the place that they were at. I get everything you guys are saying, and like it's very, very valid. But I just feel like there's levels to it. I don't think it's as clean and cut or as like black and white. It's levels to it. The mom.
But when
The
when you have
is
an
a piece of
abandonment stuff,
shit. Like
like
the
they're
mom
not.
is, but we also see that even though she's been abandoned, like she hasn't lost her heart for the most part. And then
Yeah, but she would have a
and
heart
that
for her
she-
found family, not for her the family that ditched
Exactly.
her. That's the
but
part that
she-
bothers me.
But I feel like she still had heart for her found family, but she also got to, because she even in the over the voiceover, she was like, I get why she left. Because when she got punched, because she never understood it at first. She was like, everybody just left. Everybody just didn't, like nobody stayed, like everybody left. And when she got hit and she felt that pain, because all she did was see it as a child, because I think he hit her once. I think if he hit her
she
at all,
avoided getting hit. I don't think
Right, she
even
never
said
got
she
hit,
knew how to
right?
avoid
so
it,
she
yeah.
never got hit, right? But everybody got hit that left the house. It seemed like everybody got hit to leave or however it was. And
Yeah, because
she
even her
avoided
brother
him
came out with
enough-
like a bloody lip.
right,
when he
right, with a
left,
bloody
right.
lip. So I would assume her sisters got hit in some way as well for them to like end up leaving. It wasn't until she got hit that she was like, I understood why my mother left. So when you understand something, you're easier to forgive, maybe not forget, but you're easier to be like, because she just missed her family. Like nobody walked back up that driveway but Jody. She probably never thought she would see any of these people ever again. And then
I don't know. I not to get
I
too like.
just feel like when you understand something, you kind of could be like,
Yeah,
I
you
get
might
it.
forgive
And
it.
he was
I hear you.
and they were kids. They were kids just like she was a kid.
Yeah,
That's
the thing is
difficult.
though, like I come from abandonment, and I like, not to like get too dark or whatever, but I like have nothing to do with my family. I don't
Understood.
give a shit. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, she's just like, it's just too easy. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if like, yeah, okay, I get what you're saying, but let's see some like change there. Like don't
Some
just
repair.
accept him immediately.
Right.
Like there's got to be something in there. He's got to work for it. He can't
Right.
just like show up and all of a sudden, that's the thing. Like
Maybe
know,
the
like,
book
it
goes
shouldn't be that
deeper
easy.
into it, and maybe there's a little
Right.
bit more.
Yeah, maybe that's the
the-
thing. Yeah, maybe
Right.
maybe it's just a
the
thing they had to like.
I just don't
touch
feel
on.
like they showed us enough for there to be because I felt like if he would have came back
Well, that's
in, if
what
he
we're
was-
saying. There isn't
if
enough
he was
there.
right, I just feel like if he was asking for something, I feel like if he was asking for something, or if he was
Oh,
like
yeah, we
coming,
hear
or if he
that.
was coming back, like I feel like there should. I don't know. I just feel like there could be a lot of anger there. If you just came back because I'm famous and now you're trying to get some of this money, or however it is. But I don't even think. I honestly would think that he wouldn't have came back regardless if she never would have released that book, because he didn't even think she would have been there. Like I don't think he would have ever.
Yeah,
came
but
back to
why
that
wouldn't I don't know. See, so that to me, I'm like, this is your sister. This is your littlest sister, the most vulnerable person in your family, and you don't even go back
No, I
to
get
check on
everything
her
you're saying,
until you
100%
see a
valid,
book.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
it bothers me, and
Whatever.
I'm with you on
No,
that.
no,
man.
I
Abandonment,
get it.
it's
I
tricky.
get it. I'm not saying don't feel the way you're feeling. I'm just,
Alright.
I'm just,
No,
no,
yeah.
I just, 100. I get what you guys are saying. I just feel like there's levels to it in certain ways, and some people, the way certain people work through things, other people won't work through it the same way. I feel like when she got hit and she came to that realization of like, this is why my mother left, I think she understood why everybody left. And not to say that it still didn't hurt her, but I think when you have a bit of understanding of why somebody did what they did, it makes a little bit more sense. It just
Sure.
just a touch makes a little bit more sense.
This is also technically not from her perspective because we get to see what happens after her death. So
Very
to
true.
me, it's really
could
more
be from
like
Tate's-
him.
it could
It's
be like
his
Tate's
perspective
perspective.
reading her
Right.
journal almost.
Yeah,
Like, so there's a second
Yeah.
interpretation to what we see. So we might be missing elements.
Very true. very true.
I don't know. And again, if the book goes into it and the movie doesn't, that's fine. The one thing I did notice about this movie is it felt like a book. Like it felt like the way they were cutting through it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Mm.
these scenes are just jumbled together, half parts of chapters where you're just skipping between scenes, especially in the beginning. And it was weird because it felt like they missed an opportunity. They kept like cutting and then they got to the bird flying over the water when they could have just like lingered up the water, then had the bird fly out and have one long shot as an opener and they didn't. They were like chopping it up. I know that's a nitpicky thing, but
Yeah.
I noticed it almost
Okay.
immediately. And then the
Was
movie
the-
had a little bit of those elements kind of all the way through it, where they were just all of a sudden it's like another thing's happening, and I'm like, okay, let me wait and see what this fills in, which is what books do, which is fine. But movies don't generally do that. Generally, movies will lead you into the next scene, or they'll lead you along. This movie didn't feel like it did that
Was
as
the
much.
bird real? Because I
No,
feel
that
like
was
the
a digital
bird
ass
was
bird.
That
That was
was
a digital
digital.
bird.
Yeah.
the same.
All
'cause I
those
was
birds
like-
that come in are digital. Like, yeah.
Because I was watching this and I was like, that bird looks nice. And then it got to a certain angle and I was like, that
Yeah.
bird ain't real. I was
Right.
like,
I was
No,
actually
totally.
the bird got low. We're going over marsh. I expected an alligator to maybe take the bird out or something, but
And all those
Yeah.
birds,
No.
like she's like feeding all those birds to at the beach. I think those were all digital too,
Yeah.
because there was something to them too. Where I was like,
they
They
look
look
like
fake.
pigeons, and pigeons ain't that nice. When you got food, when you got that much food, I was like, okay. So
yeah,
she just said one.
it'd be
was
too. It's too hard to wrangle birds.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
But I do like the fact that she can draw like her mom.
yeah.
now
Like they set that up real nice.
this is based on a book, but it takes place in the 60s, and then we've got a naturalist, like a paranaturalist. Is this based on any kind of real story? Like, do we know?
I think
I
it's
don't
based.
think this is
I
based
think
on
it's
fake.
based on the.
Just
I
the
think
book.
it's based on
right?
the. No, I think it's.
Yeah,
I
just
think it's
the-
based on a lot of the elements have to do with Delia Owens, the person who wrote it. She's a zoologist. And
Oh, okay.
something else. And I think a lot of this incorporates some because she grew up in like southern Georgia. I just read about it. She grew up in like southern
So she
Georgia.
just
and I think
parts of her life and her kind
yeah, I
of.
think parts of her
Right.
life are like
trade and stuff. Okay, that makes
interwoven
sense.
in between this story. Not to say that it's based on her life, but I think it's interwoven.
I like that. Let's rate it and call this one in the bag, if you will.
Right.
Or did we drag this one to the woods? I don't. Anyway, all the movie things. What do you
Wow.
rate Where the Crawdads Sing?
I'd say it's a 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna call
That's
that.
it.
Good. And Lala,
That's
what
all
do
I
you?
got.
What do you got?
What do you got, Lala?
I'll give it a moist 7. I'll
Moist
give it a-
7. You're like,
I'll give it a
oh,
moist-
it's a 7, but I don't know if I want to touch that
Runny
7.
Yeah,
A
like
runny
I'm gonna
7.
start
Oh,
doing
God.
that.
That's disgusting.
No, I'm gonna start doing that
It's a-
because usually I give 6s. I
It's a
usually give
gooey
6s.
7.
It's a,
I
like,
give 6s for things that like I'm never gonna watch again.
Right.
But it's a possibility that I might partake in this again. So it's a moist 7.
There you go.
It's a moist 7. It could have been. It's
A
some
loose-
elements that I
it's a
really
loose
liked.
7.
It's some elements that I really liked, but then there's some elements where I was like,
It's
y'all
a
coulda
7 where the
tightened up.
top's just kind of
Yeah,
flopping down
it's
like
a-
that.
Yeah.
It's terrible. I am going to give this a solid 5. I will never watch this again. I was bored. Now I do have to admit, when he flipped the
Yeah.
page and you see the shell, I was like, "Whoa!" But I didn't need 2 hours for some kind of, M. Night Shyamalan-y twist.
Right.
I
It
didn't
could have.
Yeah.
It could have been
like get
cut
me that
significantly.
earlier,
That's
or
how I
make it an
felt with
hour and a
Bodies,
half.
Bodies.
I
I
I was like,
watched
this
it
is
yet.
one big
Bodies Bodies
punchline.
is at least
I haven't watched
short,
that yet.
Right,
it's
it
at
is
least short.
Yeah,
and
Right.
I there's only
like,
so many ways you can take things. So whatever. Watch
Yeah.
Bodies. We'll have to talk about that one. We are due for
Yeah.
another A24 horror show, so we can do
True.
that.
Mm.
And I have Bodies, so I can let you guys have access to it.
Well, it's on
That said,
time, I think. So.
this has been yet another episode of The Real Study.
It has.
Next week, we will be celebrating, of course, Pride Month with an episode dedicated to either movies or actors or directors related to Pride
Yeah.
Month.
We'll-
So
we're
look forward to
figuring it
that. I do think at least 2 of them. I know Moonlight was one that got floated, and I really like the idea of that one. And then the other one was But I'm a Cheerleader, which is one I've never seen, and my wife is
Shout out
insisting
to
I
Natasha
must see.
Lyonne.
And yep.
Yeah.
And then there's a third one we will
Things.
throw into the mix, but you should look forward to those. Then, of course, Quentin Tarantino, because Lala has never seen either Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction. We're going to do a Quentin Tarantino evening, maybe even like
Nope.
throw some
We could
Jackie
actually
Brown in there.
own- Yeah.
So,
You know what's crazy? I do own both of those on a when Blockbuster went out of business.
Oh yeah,
They
there's
have it like in the little white CD
Nice.
that says like
Oh, really?
because they were giving away DVDs and I was just like,
That's funny.
it's a part of culture, and I just
Yeah.
so
So we'll
it's
hit
in my
those.
DVD
Nice.
stack somewhere. I don't know.
So I think there'll be, and then there might be one more episode after that for the season. It sounds like maybe something along the lines of an A24 something, because
Yeah,
Why
we'll
not?
see.
so we do have at least a couple more shows for the season. And then we'll be back, of course, in September, and of course, ready for spooky season because the Real Study hits spooky season hard. So
We love it.
All right. We hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Rock hard, Brian. I love it. Bye.
Bye, guys.